Flosstube. My name is Stephanie. My pronouns are she, her, and you have found episode number 4 of the FrallaKnits podcast. Thank you very much for coming to check me out. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you have been here before. Like I said, my name is Stephanie and I'm a multi-crafter living in Atlantic Canada. I am back at my house. The last few videos I've filmed out at the cottage. We're kind of half and half in between now, whether or not we'll be out there or back here. But for now, yeah, I am in my very cluttered craft room. And so the lighting's a bit different, but we'll see how this goes. I wanted to start today with a few big thank yous. I got a couple of shout outs this week, which is really odd. I'm still trying to get used to watching Flosstube and hearing someone mention my name, like, oh, that's me. And I tell my partner, I got a shout out today. And he's like, you're a superstar. I'm like, no, I really am not. So first up, Elizabeth Savory of Savory Sewing. Thanks so much for the shout out. I just watched her video and she showed a chart. What is it? All Hallows Eve sampler. I've never seen this. She'd never seen it either. Apparently it's been around for several years. And as soon as I saw it, I ordered it from Charting Creations. It is gonna be in the mail to me shortly. And Elizabeth, I think we should definitely try selling that maybe next month. We'll see. The other thank you that I would like to send out there is Kelly from Pages and Stitches. She has both a Flosstube and then a separate quilting video that she puts out every month. She's fantastic. I love all that she stitches, all that she quilts, and yeah, so grateful to have her shout me out as well. I will say I'm a little bit flustered, discombobulated. Right before I was gonna start recording this video, I got interrupted with needing to bathe my cat, which sounds like a metaphor, and I kind of wish it was a metaphor because no one actually likes to literally bathe cats, but especially cats, but in my experience. But yeah, so I had to go do that. I won't tell you why, because I would like to keep you coming back for more content. But yeah, so I had to do a full wardrobe change because bathing cats is a sweaty endeavor. I don't have any, you know, injuries from it, so that's a plus. And the cat is suitably angry outside the door, licking their wounds. So yeah, I'm a bit hot and flustered, but I have my iced espresso. Because this woman runs on caffeine, and it's nice when your cup can match your backdrop. Woo! So yeah, let's get on with it. All right, so first up, oh my goodness, I have a finish. I've been back to cross stitching for a couple years now, and I have finished 2 stitches at all. Nothing's been fully finished. This is number 3, also not fully finished. This is Sunflower Cottage, which was a Patreon chart by Yasmin's Made with Love. So beautiful. It's stitched on vintage Stormy Night, I want to say, with my own color conversion of Roxy Floss and hand dyed by Rolanda. I stitched it, well, I mean, I stitched it as charted with all of my own colors. I did change the S and W in Sunflower because those are my initials and that was awfully convenient. And I put a little 23 at the bottom. So yeah, I'm super excited about this. On Kelly's Flosstube video, she had a humongous finish, which was like a few years project, full coverage. And she finished it and immediately fully finished it. I did not do that. I need to go looking for a frame and learn how to frame cross stitch. But yeah, I love this Sunflower Cottage. I'm assuming Yasmin will be releasing the Patreon charts at some point in the future, maybe. But for now, this was a Patreon and it's now done. So I spent most of the time between my last video and when I finished this got finished on September 2nd. So I spent most of my time between my last video and September 2nd working on that exclusively. I really, really, really wanted to get it done at the end of August, because September 1st, I had a new start plan for the Back to School Sal hosted by Lauren at the New Hampshire Stitcher. But August 31st, I'm reaching the finish line, and my 12-year-old really wanted to play some classic NES games with me on the Switch, and how can you say no? So stitching went away, we played some Mario, it was awesome. Finally found a video game that I am better at than he is, probably because when I was his age, that's what I was playing. So that was a lot of fun. And then September 1st, I had my new start, and then I finished that up on September 2nd. So, speaking of new starts, here it is. For my Back to School Sal, I am doing Dutch Beauty in all the called fors. It's called for in DMC, which is awesome. And I'm doing it on 32 count lamb's wool linen by, I'm assuming it's Witchell because it feels like, you know, the stiff as a board linen, but I'm stitching it at a Q-snap, and I'm assuming that over the 15 years it's going to take me to stitch this, it will probably soften up. So I started in the middle with this deer. I've seen a lot of starts up here, top left, and that's where I usually would start, but I thought I'm going to do something completely different. And yeah, so here is what I have so far. I have stitched on this for, let's see, I started on the 1st, and then I stitched on it yesterday was our first day of school here. I am a homeschool parent, so my plans for this project are to stitch on it in the mornings while having my coffee before any of our homeschool days. So this will be a great gauge, I guess, of how many days we get in of homeschooling. So yeah, here's the deer, pretty boring. He does need some stitches in his eyeballs because they look a little bit creepy. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and like I said, it's just going to be in the mornings on homeschool days. So there is my new start. And now we're into September, and my theme for September is Long Dog Sampler September. So here is my 5-year planner, and this is the first month in it. So here's kind of my plans, which are already changing. This sticker for my finish is over top of, I think it was going to be Garden Sampler, and actually all these Garden Samplers are going to go, and I can talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, so I am into long dogs, and the first one that I picked up to work on for a couple of days this month was Death by Cross Stitch. You know it, you love it. I've seen some people recharting the alphabets and putting other symbols in. I've also seen it stitched, of course, with the alphabets, which I kind of went back and forth to what I wanted to do, whether I wanted to stitch the alphabet or kind of follow someone else's, you know, their motifs that they put in. But well, I mean, I'm up here, I'll show you. But I might leave them for now and possibly use my idea of charting song lyrics in there, or do the alphabet. It's probably going to be between song lyrics and alphabet. I don't think I'm going to rechart motifs. So enough about that. Long Dog Sampler, Death by Cross Stitch, and here is where I got to. So those are all of the colors that I'm using. There's 6 different colors. This white, which is Antique Wedding Dress by Roxy Floss Co. I was worried about, but you know what? It actually gives some texture, and it does stick out a bit. So what I worked on, what I did in those 2 days, was this bird and the fish, and then I came down to this motif down here. So yeah, I'm loving it. Once I started, I'm like, do I really have to pick up either long dogs? Yes, Stephanie, you do. Because This one is, has the smallest start and is nowhere near being done. So yeah, I should work on the other ones and maybe I'll actually get a finish. Not this month for sure, but maybe in the next, you know, 4 years. All right, and then the next long dog that the one that I'm currently working on for this week is opening Gambit. This was the first long dog that I started. I started this June 24th of 2021. So this has been 2 years already. So what I have done is basically everything above this griffiny gargoyle dragon dude. So all this stuff up here. I'm stitching this, I believe it's a 32 count. Like I said, this is the first one that I started. This is way before I ever thought I would be telling or showing people anything about my stitching. But I am using Sulky. I'm using Sulky Blendables. This is, let's see, color 4017. And then, so it's got like this variegated kind of lime, green, yellows, a little bit of teal in there. And for all the back stitch, I'm using DMC 3819, which looks pretty good. So you can kind of see some of that back stitch, the steam from the kettle. Back stitch that I did this time was the legs on the caterpillar. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. I have changed up a little bit. I believe over here in this huge blank, I'm planning on putting the year. I think this was charted as you put one initial, the other initial, and then one digit of the year, the other digit of the year. But I decided to just put my initials on one side, and then I can probably safely put a 2 up here. Hopefully I will finish this decade, but no guarantees. Yeah, so I'm gonna put the year once I am confident in when I'm gonna be finishing this. So this, I intend to continue stitching for the rest of this week. Yeah, loving it. It was a nice change from the Death by Cross Stitch. Death by Cross Stitch, like I said, has 6 different colored flosses, and I am kind of making it up as I go along. This, you know, the floss does the work for you. It changes colors when it wants to. So that's been, you know, a nice, easy, mindless stitch. All right, so yeah, only 4 cross stitch projects that I worked on because I worked so heavily on that sunflower cottage, which is done now. So that's exciting. On to knitting. I didn't show you my knitting last week because I had just done the other sleeve and it wasn't any different than the first one. But this time I have actually connected the sleeves to the body. Actually, I've tucked the sleeves in. So you connect the sleeves to the body and then you knit around the yoke. I tuck the sleeves into my knitting because when you're knitting around and around, they just get in the way. So if I tuck them in, they kind of stay more contained. So here we go. It is not the appropriate weather to be wearing this, but yeah, I'm quite enjoying this. I have to say, I'll put a picture of the pattern in here, and you'll notice that the color work is different than here. On the pattern, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that this triangle and this triangle, sorry, like on the cover photo, these triangles are the same color, but the pattern shows them as different. And I liked how the pattern picture looked. And sure, I could definitely have just stitched it like that. However, I bought the yarns in Iceland while I was there, and I bought them based on what was in the pattern. And so I think I got, it was like 3 balls of the white, 2 or 3 of the white, and just 1 of the black. And I was worried that if I did it like it was in the pattern picture that I would run out of the black. So I'm stitching it as the pattern says. If I stitch this again, which I very well might, I will definitely change up the colors, the patterning of the colors so that this is the same. Because it kind of looks a little bit weird to me, but you know, whatever. It is going to serve the purpose of a big bulky sweater by being super warm. I can wear this as outerwear for, you know, a lot of the days where it's just down to, you know, -5 or so Celsius. So yeah, it's going to keep me cozy and warm. And if it gets down to minus a whole bunch, you know, I could stick it under a jacket. So yeah, it'll keep me nice and warm. And yeah. All right. Sorry, I just hear one of my cats at the door. But oh, it's the bathed cat has been locked out of the room because she would be up here all over me, and I didn't want that. So she's scratching at the door, but whatever. All right, on to what I've done for quilting. So let's see, I have my plans from last week, which were hilarious. I was going to I was going to quilt Isaac's quilt, my younger son's quilt. I didn't do that, but I did finish stitching together the top. So I think I showed you all the strips last week. So I have since stitched it all together, which is, you know, nearly impossible to show you, but I assure you they are all together. When I was planning out this quilt, I had planned it so that I would have, see how this is like dark on the outside with a lighter fabric on the inside with the star, and then this one's light fabric on the outside with dark in the middle. I had it so it was going to be alternating, but as you can see, I apparently can't follow my own pattern. Those are both light on the outside, dark in the middle. Whatever. Again, serves its purpose of, you know, it'll keep him warm and cozy. So I have the backing fabric available for this, and maybe I will get it quilted for next video, but you know, maybe not, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so it's gonna be a nice finish for him. And yeah, it was fun to do. Oh, actually, kind of matches my sweater. Look at this. Oh, it's good to coordinate. Yeah, so there's that top done, and I just realized I actually have an FFO for quilting that is so new that it's currently in the dryer, because as I was getting ready to do this video, I realized that this quilt I had showed last week with the binding stitched on, and it just had to be folded over, and you know, the binding was already attached, but it had to be flipped and sewn, and I hadn't done it yet. So I put on, I think it was Kelly, Pages and Stitches quilting video, and I pinned it this morning, stitched it, immediately put it in the wash. Like I said, it's now in the dryer. I'm just gonna pause this. We'll see. My eldest asked me, have you had to like slice your videos or cut them, or you know, I was like, oh no, I've done everything in one shot. Well, we'll see how this goes. So I'll be right back. And I'm back. I mean, that was no time for you. It was a couple minutes for me. Ran downstairs, grabbed this. So this is my quilting FFO. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so this is the Stay Gold line by Ruby Star Society. I used 2 charm packs and some yardage. And here we are. I am really happy with it. It's scooshy. It's a lot lighter. Oh, string. Let me just chop that off. I haven't cut all of the spare little threads. It feels a lot lighter than my other finished quilts, which I like. I don't know why it feels lighter, but yeah, it's beautiful, and it'll just be like a nice little curl up on the couch. Yeah. So here's the fresh from the dryer crinkle. Ooh, I love that. That is my favorite. And so this quilt, like I said, I finished it this morning, and I went to go and put it in the wash. I had sheets to go in as well, so I put them all in together, and I washed my sheets on hot, so I'm like, well, this is going in on hot and we're gonna see what's gonna happen. And look, it survived. But you know, that's how I wash all of our bedding. So if it's not gonna survive that, then it's probably not gonna survive my house. Here's the back. I just kind of pieced the back with some of the yardage from the line. And I machine bind my quilts. So you can see oh no, that's fine. So I sew it down and then flip them over, and probably don't need as big of a binding. I just stitched in the ditch to stitch it down. So if I had paid attention to how big this binding was, maybe next time I could make a slightly narrower binding, but I didn't. So, you know, I guess this is a good lead into, I wanted to talk about, I guess, crafters' ideas of perfection in their projects. You know, I free motion quilted this myself. The stitches, like, they aren't all the same length. They aren't nearly as gentle of curves as maybe I would have liked, but the purpose of this quilt is to provide some color on a dreary day, and you know, to be warm and snuggly in front of the fire, maybe in the winter months. So this quilt is perfect. It does exactly what I wanted it to do. I am not someone who hangs my quilts on the wall for display as art pieces, although I mean, this is still art. But maybe if I did hang them on the walls, I'd be more, you know, precise. Maybe I would be someone who hand stitched down their binding, for example. But yeah, the purpose of this is to be bright and sunny and cuddly, and it is. So yeah, that's kind of how I roll. I mean, I don't hang quilts on the wall, but my house is old. It's actually a registered heritage building, and it has minimal, if not any, insulation in the walls. A few years ago, our kitchen cupboards, I put a thermometer in there and it was 4 degrees Celsius, which is the same temperature as our fridge. So I could have been storing my milk in the cupboards. Yeah, so maybe if I hang some quilts on the wall, we keep it a little bit warmer here. But, you know, anyways. So, my FFO quilt, so happy. All right, moving on. We'll talk about the quilt that's behind me, the quilt top. This, when I saw this fabric line, this is Pearl by Sarah Watts, Ruby Star Society. When I saw this fabric line, I jumped. I didn't see it, luckily, until it was on sale. Where did I get it? Birdie and Dot Fabrics is an online store. I'm not sure if they have a brick and mortar. It's in Canada. Anyways, they had the half yard bundle on sale, and this is just amazing. I love knitting. Quilting, wonderful. So I bought the half yard bundle. It came with a few of these panels. So I basically just designed this quilt myself. Started with the panel in the middle and kind of just did borders around it from there. I'm gonna leave it up there. If I ever finish it, I'll give you some close-ups of these guys in the squares. So yeah, I'm working on this now. I'm basically just gonna be doing the last border that is going around it. It's just a whole bunch of these triangles. I'm doing 3 triangles on each side. Let's see if I can do this gracefully-ish. So it's gonna be just a border like, well, I'm not even in frame. So it's gonna be a border like this all the way around. And these I just cut out 3.5-inch squares and stitched them together randomly. The only caveat I had is I didn't want two of the same fabrics right side by side. But other than that, you know, there's yarn balls. Oh my God. And look at this. It's knit stitch. Like, yeah, cute. Love it. So I have all of them at least into strips of 3, and then I'm now putting those strips of 3 together. So yeah, like I said, when I put these together, I just didn't want the same fabric right on top of each other, but as you can see, diagonal is fine with me. If the colors were the same across from each other, but it was a different pattern, I didn't care. I just, look at that bird. That wasn't even fussy cutting. That was just, it showed up. Yeah, so this is, I guess, my current whip on the machine. And I can't get over this fabric line. Like, it is so exactly me. And I had so much fun. I'm a math geek. And so, like, I started with the size of the panel, whatever it was, I can't even remember. And it was just taking, you know, I knew that I wanted these birds, so that's how wide it was gonna be. And then figuring out, you know, I also wanted the yarn ball to fit. Like, it's just, I basically measured and cut and did all of these borders just, you know, at the time. It was a lot of fun. It has been a lot of fun. It will be great to have it done. And I have a lot more of the fabric left, and I have bought actually some more of the panels because I'd like to maybe make some sort of like a knitting project bag with them. I could probably make like a sweater sized project bag. Speaking of project bags, ever since, I don't know, it's been about a month, I think. Yeah, it would have been on her last video. Kelly, again, from Pages and Stitches, I'm a fangirl. She showed some project bags that she made herself without the vinyl fronts. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to do this. So I bought zippers. I bought the fusible fleece, but the fusible fleece and the zippers have never been in the same location. The zippers have been at the cottage. The fusible fleece has been at home. Now that I'm back home and my machine is back home as well, the zippers are still at the cottage, so I haven't been able to put them together. So I would love to get that going so I can make some cross-stitch project bags. But in the meantime, maybe I can try a knitting one, because I would just do a drawstring on top. Anyways, we'll see. Okay, so I guess that takes us into plans. I'll start with one of my quilting plans. So I mentioned in my last video that I got a spot in my local fabric stores, which is the Fabric Cupboard. They have a stitch along called the 100 Club. And I found out it was called that because they used to only have 100 spots in it. But they have since grown. And this year there were 2 quilts, and each quilt has 70 spots. And the cool thing is you enter your name in to hopefully be chosen out of the big bowl of names they get to become a member of the club. You pay $20, and that's $20 Canadian, all of my American friends. And you get to stitch a quilt for 20 bucks, which is, yeah, unheard of. So I luckily got in, and I am doing one with some sunflower themed fabrics. This is actually the Moda Fabrics Sunflower Garden line, and I'm not showing you any oh, there we go, there's one. So basically what the 100 Club is you show up every month for 6 months. You guarantee that you're going to be going to the quilt store, which is, you know, such a trial for me. And you get to pick up your next step. So this is my step 1. I got all of these strips. I have to cut 184 squares out of them and stitch them all into 4 patches. So that's my September. And then once I've done that, I go back in October and I get the next step. So it's going to keep me on track, and hopefully within 6 months I will have a finished quilt. It will be beautiful. And yeah, for 20 bucks, just amazing. So that is my plan to get done in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be traveling for a couple of weeks at the end of September. So I want to get this done before I leave. But as long as I bring it back to the shop anytime in October, I'm able to pick up the next month. So if by chance I don't get it done, I can still finish it in October and then get the next step. So there's plan number one. Let's see. So number two is to finish my sweater that I showed you. The Stapi, it's a pullover. I'm so close to finishing it. And for all you football fans out there, the season starts tomorrow. So that will not be a problem. When I'm watching football, I'm usually, knitting is easier for me to do without looking. I can't imagine trying to cross stitch without looking. And quilting would be the same. So yeah, my plan is to finish that sweater. I want to finish the top for this quilt, so that would be putting the border all the way around. I think I have some backing fabric. I may do something with the panels to back it, or I have some yardage of that Stay Gold line from my finished quilt that I might use for backing. So that's plan number 3, I guess. On the 13th and 31st of the month, I stitch Halloween. So 13th Halloween patchwork, I'll be bringing that out. And then on the 17th, I stitch my Trans Pride tapestry, and I should definitely get more of that done this month than I did last. Last month, if you remember, I spent most of my time picking out the diamond. It is gone now. I'm now restitching with H-Wall, which is so much more pleasant. So it should be pretty easy for me to, you know, to move on with. And then I'm going to continue on, like I said, with opening Gambit for my long dog. I'm going to be doing my Dutch Beauty for the hashtag back to school Sal. Next week for long dogs, I have the pointed fifth, which I showed you in my last video, but I'll be pulling that out. And then, like I said, I'm going away for a couple of weeks at the end of the month. And I think what I'm going to do for that is, like I said, I pulled the garden sampler. This is a mystery Sal with Yasmin's Made with Love. The next clue should come out on the 15th, which is here. And I still have a pitiful start on it because I was so wanting to get her sunflower cottage done. So my plan would be, when I'm traveling, I'm going to take that mystery Sal. I'll have 2 clues to work through. I'll be able to hopefully get that done. I'll probably bring one of the long dogs. I kind of want to bring pointed fifth because it's just one thread, so I don't have to worry about color changes. But I also want to get some more work done on Death by Cross Stitch. And I guess it's not that bad. It's not like I'm carrying a ton of floss, and I don't have to really follow, I'm not following a color pattern. I'm just making it up as I go. So I'll probably bring one of those too for stitching. So yeah, the garden Sal and then a long dog. I'm also planning on bringing, I showed you last week, I didn't bring it today. I'm working on my Dear Jen quilt. I'll stick a picture here. It is all hand pieced, and I'm still working on the first block. I didn't really give it much time, but I figured that would be a great project to bring while traveling because I don't need my machine. So, and it's tiny, tiny pieces. I can probably work on it on the plane and then while we're out visiting people. So yeah, I'll probably bring that as far as a quilting project. And then as far as knitting, I will probably just bring another one of the, I'll hopefully have my Stapi done. And so I have 3 more sweaters that I started from yarn that I bought on my trip back in June. So I'll probably bring one of those along with me. So those are for those last chunk was for when I'm traveling. I am hoping to be able to get another video in before that. If not, it's going to be the beginning of October. but I'm hoping I'll get this one uploaded this evening, and then I'll be able to film another one right before I leave. Oops. Yeah, so that's all for my finishes, a fully finished quilt, my whips, my plans. I just wanted to talk a bit about some of the Flosstubers. Oh my goodness, it seemed like there was kind of a week or so of like, I had seen everything that was on my subscriber list. I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and now it seems like everyone posted, I guess, the end of the month. So I have a bunch that I have just watched and a bunch that are waiting for me. So I wanted to mention a few that I've just recently watched. First is Tara from Wilden Woman Crafts. She, you know, beautiful projects, all of that jazz. She was talking about a Halloween box that she got. It was already delivered. And she's like, there's no way that I can't, like, that I can leave this, and I need to open it now and have a look at what's inside. And it just made me laugh. And I commented to her that when I was a kid, I was the one who would, like, you know, be peeking in the presents at Christmas, and my mom started numbering the presents, and then she'd have a list of, you know, who belonged to each present. And one year she actually lost the list, which was fun. So it was just random, you know, surprise. So, and anyways, Tara commented that her mom also used to number the presents at Christmas. So I guess I wasn't the only poor child who couldn't very well snoop. Does anyone else have that happen? Anyways, yeah, that was kind of a funny thing to have in common. Second of my subscriptions that I just recently watched was Haley from the Peregrine Stitcher. Her samplers are gorgeous, and she just got 4 or 5 back from the framers for this video, and she's planning on packing them all to take to her other house in Chicago, which the idea of flying with these frame pieces is, you know, good luck. I hope they arrive all in one piece. But yeah, her frame pieces, gorgeous. It's so inspiring. It makes me want to get stuff done. But I keep starting ginormous things. Like, seriously, Dutch Beauty is never getting done before I retire. Oh well. And then the third person I wanted to mention, which I'm sure you all know, Samantha, the Hookah Stitcher. She is the one who started the, what was it, Live in the Sunshine Sal with the Summer Quaker that I started in August. Her new video is so fun. She has with her best stitchy buddy for life. They have been friends since I think they were teenagers. Their friendship is like next level, you know, goals for me. Their friendship kind of centered around stitching. Like, how cool is that? Although I have to say, when I moved here 8 years ago, I knew nobody, and I met people by going to knit night because I knew that knitters everywhere were the same type of crazy as I am. So I have made friends through stitching, but like, just to see them, you know, 20 years later, 30 years, I don't know how old they are, but amazing that, you know, they get together and stitch late into the night. Like, this is fantastic. If anyone wants to be my late night stitching buddy, call me, email me, whatever. So, yeah, that's who I've been watching. That's what I've been doing. I do want to mention, like I said, I'm back in my craft room, and this is one design wall. I have another one over here. For all of you quilters out there, I don't know if this is a normal thing or not, but this design wall is just an old, not fleece, what is that called? Flannel. It's an old flannel sheet. And I've just stapled it to the wall. And it works great as a design wall. I will say that I did have to clip this quilt top to the top just with my binder clips, because it is pretty heavy now that it's all stitched together. but works great as a design wall. The pieces just, you know, Velcro to it. And as long as you don't leave them up there forever, they stay put. Eventually gravity does take over, but that's my own fault. So anyways, the rambling has stopped. Thank you so much for stopping by. And like I said, I hope to see you mid-ish month before I head out for a couple weeks. And happy stitching until then. Bye-bye.